This is my 2017 Lincoln MKX. If you've seen the title of this video, you probably saw what this is about. It's about replacing the third brake light on this car. My wife and I discovered some time ago that the lens, the red lens, was missing. We believe it happened at a car wash. We don't even know when it happened. Can't even say for sure it was a car wash. Don't know what else it would have been if it wasn't a car wash. But the light still worked, but the lens was gone. So some time ago, I spent about $120 on a website, bought the new light, and today we had nice weather outside, so I decided to go ahead and spend a few hours replacing this light. And a couple other videos online about doing this same job in the same model or near model of MKX, and a couple of differences right off the bat. This is probably one of the best tools I had in my experience, this with the hammer. Everybody has described how it's extremely difficult breaking the little plastic grommets off. There's probably 6 of them. I don't remember exactly how many there were, but it was probably 6. 3 of them. There's one about right here, another one here, another one here. There's holes right there underneath this plastic in the metal. You can put the put this in there, the chisel, and lop them off very easily from the inside, or from the inside. On the outside, there's 2 more, so there's 5. Now that I think about it, there's 5. 3 of them you can chop off very easily with this, the chisel. The other 2, you can get you a breaker bar, or I just have a 1x2 piece of wood, and I was able to put it on the outside. You'll see here in the video in a little while, and lift up on it and break those 2 remaining. There's a one over here, and there's another one over here. You put the wood on the outside, and you lift up, and it will break those 2 off, those 2 grommets. Those are very hard plastic grommets. And but anyway, I spent a few hours doing this today. Part of my reasoning for doing this with so many hours is, unfortunately, with my mechanical skills, I've never done it right until I've done it twice. So that means I did everything here probably at least twice. I did break a couple things. There's a GPS antenna right up here on the very top. You can't see it here, but there's a GPS antenna underneath this plastic piece in here. I took the bolt out accidentally, not knowing that I didn't know to take it off. I didn't know it was a GPS antenna at the time, and I had to manufacture a bent washer to put this bolt back on. There was a little fancy device that was in there, not a washer, but it acted like a washer, and I don't know where it went. And so I had to manufacture that to put the GPS antenna back on. The GPS antenna says it has to face forward, and I'm assuming you don't want it in there rattling around. So I made sure the washer held it nice and snug like it was before. The other mistake I made was in here, about this area right here. There's the plastic hoses for your, I don't know if you can see it right there, for the those spray that cleans your windshield. But when I was taking it off, when I was taking the outside part off, the spoiler, I accidentally broke the little plastic hose. So I had to go to 4 different part stores before I could find a little tube that would hold the tubes together for the spray. So that took quite a bit of time in itself. So there was a couple of screw ups on my end. I didn't end up using the cable that came with the new one. The reason being, I would have had to have taken more stuff apart. Instead, it was easier just to unhook the old one and or keep the old cable in place, so I didn't have to take more stuff apart. so I did not use the new cable that mine came with. And there's a couple other videos that I used on YouTube for removing this thing and fixing my light, the brake light. Both those videos were very good, very useful to me. I mean, 2 videos on all of YouTube. That's if that's all you got, then that's great. But I'm going to add a couple things to this one that should help. One of the guys, he drilled a hole about here, and another one over here with a hole saw, because there's the grommets that are in there, and I had to use a 1x2 to pull mine up, whereas he drilled a hole about right here, and then he got rid of the grommet. There's another one in this area, I believe, and there's another one actually in here. But instead of drilling a hole with a hole saw, what I was able to do is I was able to take this and put it down inside the here as such, and put it right on top of the grommet down here, and I just barely whacked it with my hammer, and it broke that off. And I didn't have to mess with drilling a hole here. And there's another one right here, and then there was another one in here. I was able to carefully just put it on the end of the grommet, barely tap it, and it broke the grommet off. So that took care of 3 of those grommets. There were 2 other grommets in here. There's another one in here somewhere, and there's another one back in here. That's what I use my 1x2 to pull up and break those grommets that you just can't access any other way. So I'm actually at the stage that I am putting all this back together, and so I'm going to tell you what you have to do to take apart everything, because I've already done most of the hard work here. But this plastic piece that goes right here, this was the first thing you take off, and it's only held on with some of these easy grommets. They're easier to take off than some of the others. You just literally just grab a hold of it on the end, or up here, and just pull it off, and it comes off pretty easily. After you get that off, then you need to remove 2 of these. These have got a Phillips head on the end of them. There's one here, and there's one up here, right there. Take those off. I used one of my kits from a store, one of these trim or plastic removal kits to help me get those off. Then after you get those 2 off, there's some bolts. There's a bolt here, another bolt right there. You have to take those off. And this is one of the bolts. There's 2 of these on each side. So there's the 2 plastic pieces that hold this plastic piece on. I didn't take the whole thing off. And then there's a bolt right there, a bolt right there. Same thing over here. There's the 2 plastic pieces. There's a plastic piece right there, and then another plastic piece, and then there's the bolt over here on this side, and there's the bolt or bolt hole on this side. That holds on this plastic piece right here. It's attached to the bottom of the spoiler. You have to take those off. So after you get those off, you take off these bolts, these nuts. There's 6 of these. There's 4 up here, and there's one in this hole, one in this hole, and like I said, there's 4 down here along the bottom. Here's where these go on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so put all the connectors back in. There's the one I broke that I mentioned earlier or I will later in the video maybe. Broke that one. There's a connector. This connector here is actually for the light that I replaced. And this thing here, I don't know what this is, but this connects back up to this. And one of the other guys in the video said that he could not get his well, where's it at? It must still be in here somewhere. Okay, I've got to take it back off so I can fix that. But the wire in there, he had to cut his wire that connects into the defrost. My defrost has got a little connector on it. I can disconnect it. He said he had to cut his wire that runs from this slot up here to this. But mine disconnects, so I didn't have any problems with it. And it connects over into right here, I believe. One connects here and the other goes right there. Here's that wire. One of this connects right here, and just like a button on your shirt or jacket. And the other one connects into this one right here, as such. Another word of advice is this cable here. This is the antenna, the GPS antenna. That bolt, there's a bolt that goes in right there. This is the bolt that holds the GPS antenna in. You don't have to disconnect that or even this cable because it never comes out. The bolt that is in there holds this antenna down to the top of the car like that, and it sits in this hole right here, so you don't have to take any of that out. Alright, so right now I've got this thing sitting upside down on the back of the window. What I wanted to show you here was what all these holes are, so you know where everything's at. But so down here is one of the bolts that you take off. There's one of the grommets that you may have to fight with. So there's a bolt hole, and then that big one right there, this one right here sits in. That one, there's nothing to that, it just sits there. And then that one right there, that's this grommet right here. This is one of the sources of everybody's problems. You have to fight with those. That's what I use my 1x4 with right there to break that off. And out of probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these, 2 of them I can probably put back in. The other 2, I don't even know where they went. But if I can find them, I'll see if I can put them back in these slots. But there was a slot right there where one went, another one, another one, another one. The screws, that one, that one, that one, that one. There's 6 of these total. And they go up here at the top, up there by the car cabin, and I think you can kind of see where those go. So in order to pop this one off, that one right there, this one, I took my 1x2, that's about 4 feet long, propped it up in there, gave it a good lift, and it eventually just broke it right off. Now I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing. Before I pop this, I want to see if I can show you. See that little white piece under there? That's the last remaining piece that's holding this on there. And it's just a bear getting that thing off. So I'm gonna wedge this 1x2 in here, and I'm gonna pry on it and it's going to break that piece off. Here we go. Alright, I pried on it. It came off just like that. You can see in there pretty easily. And looks like that piece actually slides off of that. Nobody told me anything about it sliding off. Maybe that's to put it back on, a replacement maybe. But it should be off, and we'll continue. So I've got it off. Here's of course here's the rear brake light I'm replacing. It's stuck under here. This is it right here, and there's the bolts that are holding it in there right there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your cable right there. Comes in through here, and right there. But when I was popping this off, this broke off. This broke. Let's see if I can glue that back on. My wife hates the back window wiper anyway, but which I don't, but I think that's silly. But I'm gonna see if I can glue that back on. Looks like a relatively clean brake. Maybe with some luck it'll work again. So we'll take the 4 bolts out here and put the new one back in, and we'll continue from there. So here's the old one. It's taken off 4 bolts. The bolts are sitting over here in the grass. And here's a new one. Now, one of the things I'm going to do different is, this is the cable right here. I don't want to take all this plastic off, so I'm just going to use the same cable that was already there. And so I don't have to mess with taking that off and putting it back on and such. Okay, so I've got the new one on. Some of the other guys in the other videos said that theirs felt like it had a sharp edge right here. Mine does not. They used a Dremel to flatten it right there, so it didn't get tore off again in the car wash, which I assume is what happened to mine as well. We didn't even notice it when it happened. But some of the other guys took a Dremel and flattened it a little better there so it wouldn't get caught again. Mine feels fine. I don't know what the original felt like when it got ripped off, but the replacement here feels fine. I'm not gonna do any dremeling on these. Well, I broke this when I was taking it off. I believe what happened was I had it pulled up. I had this whole piece pulled up too high as I was trying to get these out, this one and probably this one off, and this probably was pushing against the top of the car and it snapped it off. But what this piece is, it had a very small nipple hanging off the end of this to about right here, and it was pushed down inside this as such. And so, you know, you're not going to find something like this at a local parts store, and I don't even see a part number on it, and I'm not going to waste my time searching for a part number for this and ordering one. So I went to O'Reilly's and bought one of these, and I'm just going to stick it down inside here, and the other end I'll stick on the top part of this here, so there's 2 hoses. All this is just an extension. I don't know why it has to be so elaborate like this, but it was literally a nipple sticking off the end of this where it's broke right there, and it was stuck down inside this about 1/4 of an inch. And I had to pull it out of this, but this is not necessary. I'm just going to use this in its place. So I've got this thing still upside down, turned on the grass down here, and these pieces right here are the ones that were so hard to get off. You see they're broken now, but there's one there, there, and these actually come off, slide off. But there was another one right here and another one over here. These are what most people have an extremely difficult time getting off. And the other portion of the video that I've got, I was able to take a chisel and put on the end of this right here. This had a little piece that was standing up on it that was making it so hard to come off. But I put the chisel on the end of this and just tapped it a little bit with the hammer, and it just broke that right off. So these three here I was able to break off. This one here and this one over here at the other end is what I used the 1x2 to break off. But these three right here in the middle, I was able to put a chisel through the hole and just barely hit the chisel, and these broke off right here.